So let's start our second day, which is all about CSS. Now आप start कर सकती हैं.
Okay. Okay. So hello everyone. Okay, somebody was asking if it is necessary to use doc type. So the thing is that doc type actually tells the browser about the document type. So it is, you cannot say that it's very much necessary because any common web browser will render your document regardless, but it is very much required when you use it in different kinds of browsers. So it will work without that also, but it is just a necessity like any other command. So talking about today's day, today we have to begin with CSS. I'll just share my screen. Okay, so is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, great. So yesterday we learned about introduction and HTML, and today we will begin with CSS. Just a second. Okay, so what is CSS? CSS is basically cascading style sheets. So why do we need CSS? We need CSS because when we got to know about HTML and we used to create our documents in HTML, we usually used to do the styling within HTML document only, but it got very much hectic to create it like that because you cannot, when you want to work on a big website or you want to you have a lot of documents, you just can't create that style document within the HTML only. It gets very hectic to just clarify whether what we have text also and we have styling also, so it gets difficult. That's why what we do is that we create a separate style sheet for that. Now you must wonder that there is also something called as inline CSS and internal CSS. So what is this external CSS? So I will just tell you about in detail. You can see here we have basic syntax. So what is it? It is a selector and a declaration. So this is the basic syntax in a CSS. What basically P stands for here is a paragraph. You yesterday saw about a paragraph. So when we want to determine that the paragraph should be blue in color, so what we do is that we write the property here and we write the value here. Instead of color, you can also write the font size, font value, or font family. You can write anything that will be a property, and when you just assign it any kind of value, that will act as a value, like we have given color blue here. So this was basic about CSS. Now there is something called as inline CSS. When we talk about inline CSS, in this we can include CSS directly in our HTML elements. For example, you do not need to know you do not need to do so much styling, and you just want a simple line to be changed to some other color. So what you usually prefer is inline CSS. For this, we make use of the style attribute and then provide properties to it. For example, you have a paragraph. What you will do is that in the HTML file only, next to the paragraph, you can write style is equal to, and you can specify the property and its value. You do not need to create any other file for that, or you do not need to go to any other document or towards the head section of the HTML file. You will just write it here only. So this is what we call as inline CSS. As the name itself specifies, we just write it inside the line only. So next thing we have is internal CSS. These are actually the three ways in which you can use CSS in your document. When we talk about internal CSS, in this method we use style element in head section of our HTML page. So what you usually do is that when you do not want to create a different CSS file, what you will do is that, and you want to do pretty well styling, like you do not want to change a line but you want to do styling for different things. So what you will do is that you will include it in the head section of your HTML file. You will use the style tag. See, this is the starting, this is the end, and you will just use it, and you can just specify the color or anything that you want to specify inside the style inside the head. So this is what we call as internal CSS. Internal because it is inside the HTML file only. Next thing we have is external CSS. External style sheet is one that is created externally to the HTML document. So this is what we actually do. What we do is that we create a entirely different CSS file, so that all of the styling of the page of the HTML page is in the CSS file only, and we do not need to access the HTML file if you want to change some kind of styling. What we do is that we create a style sheet with a .css extension. Yes, .cs extension is important when you want to specify a style sheet. When you are using a HTML document, you use .html extension, and you include its link in the HTML document. So how do you include that link? In the head section, you can write inside link, rel and style sheet, and href, that will just indicate the style.css file. So this is how you use external CSS. Okay, so next we have is benefits of CSS. As I already told you in the beginning, why do we need CSS? So what are the benefits of CSS? It actually is easier to maintain and update, because for example, you have 3 or 4 pages related to the same CSS, and you want each of its heading to be red, or you want it to be some different color, but you do not want to access this individual page and then change the color. So what we usually do is that we just have that one CSS, and it will be very much easy to maintain and update the color if we have just one sheet for all of those documents. So the next thing is greater consistency in design. Yes, designing gets very much easy. More formatting options. Okay, so when you want to change the font size, or you want to change the text to bold, italic in different web pages, it gets very easy. The code is very much lightweight, as we will see. Faster download times, search engine optimization benefits, ease of presenting different styles to various viewers, and greater accessibility. So these are all the benefits of CSS, and we will just see how it gets very much easy when we have a CSS file in our HTML along with our HTML file. So these were the benefits of CSS. And the next thing I thought that we should know about in theory is that selectors. I just discussed a bit about it yesterday. So what are selectors basically? Selectors are when you want to specify some styling for any part of your HTML document. So what you do is that I have pretty well covered here all of the selectors. I just thought it to put in one page only. So first of all, you have an element selector, then you have a grouping selector, then we have an ID selector, then we have a class selector and a universal selector. So just let us see what kind of these selectors are. So when we talk about element selector, you just simply take the element. For example, we have a paragraph tag, we have just taken P, and we have specified the properties and values here. So it is just a simple element selector. Grouping selector is when you include 2 or 3 tags together, like we have taken P comma H1. We want both of their colors to be blue, so we can just use it in group. We do not need to specify first for P and then for H1. We will just take it in a group and we specify their styling. The next thing is the ID selector. Somebody was yesterday asking what is ID selector. So you can see here we have a paragraph. We have just used just hello world in this paragraph. So what we did is we assigned ID to it, and that ID is para1. So when you want to specify it in the styling, what you will do, we will use a hashtag, and then we will write para1, and then you can write the properties and its values. So it is different because you can assign this para1 to anything. Like you have PID as para1, you can also assign H1 as an ID para1, and whatever you want to do with that para1 ID, you can just specify here. It will not only change the paragraph but anything else that has the ID para1. So the next thing is universal selector. What is this sign and what are actually we doing here? Universal selector is when you do not want to select any one thing. What you do is that you select you want to make changes to the whole document. As the names only suggest, what you will do is that you will include this sign and then you will write the property. What will happen is that all of the color in the document will change to blue because we have changed it universally, or we have changed the whole document here. So this you do when you want to specify some kind of background changes or which you want to apply to the whole document. The next thing is CSS Class Selector. When we talk about Class Selector, it is somewhat similar to the ID selector only, but what we do here is we assign a class to it. Like I have given a class center to h1. We have named this class as center and we have just specified this center in the styling. You can just consider this to be the styling part. So what we did is that when we put a hashtag here and we put a dot here. So I have written dot center and then I have specified the property and its value. So what will happen is that whatever includes the class center will be aligned to the center and will have the color red. So this was all about selectors. There is also another kind of selector that I will just tell you about. It is not very much different. What basically happens is that, for example, you have assigned this ID to ID para1 to paragraph as well as h1. What will happen in that kind of selector is that when you write p dot para1, what will happen is that only the ID which is assigned para1 to p will change, not h1. Since we have assigned ID para1 to two of them, but you use p dot para1, so that it will only change the styling of the p only. We will see in the CSS when we do it in the visual code, that we'll see there. Okay, so next thing we have here is colors. I have shared a link in the chat box if it's visible to you. What basically we have here is we have all the colors. Like when you are using VS Code, you don't usually need to remember the colors or something.
Hello?
Yes, Manisha.
Zoom ज़्यादा हो गया है, इसे कम कर दो.
Okay.
Visible नहीं वाला. Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay. Okay, so I was just talking about a link that I have shared in the chat box that is related to all the colors that are available in CSS. When you want to you do not have that with you, you can just check it out. It has all the colors that can be specified. So what we have here is RGB, RGBA, hashtag RRGGBB, and what is this? We need to when we yesterday used color, so I told you that you specify the RGB. RGB basically stands for the red, green and blue. So what you usually do in CSS is that you just change the red, green and blue values, decimal values of any kind of color, and it will shift different gradients. So this is how we use the color. You can simply use red, blue, black color, but when you want to use some colors which are some mixture or have different shades of red, green or blue in them, we use this kind of scheme. So in alpha, the second one is different because it has A here. A stands for alpha. It usually refers to the opacity, like when you want the color to be in dark or a light shade, so it usually refers to the opacity. And in this you just get into the more depth and you specify R with these values, like F is the highest value, and then you specify green and blue. It's like you specify them 2 times, so we use this. And the next one is HSL, that is hue, saturation and lightness. Now when you use this kind of scheme, you are usually specifying it on the basis of its saturation and lightness. You must know about all these properties when you do some kind of editing, like you have brightness. Similar are these things. So you can just use these 4 schemes in terms of coloring in CSS. Okay, so this was about colors. Now next thing we have is box model. So we will just see all these things in VS Code, but I just thought of giving you a basic introduction about what all these things are through theory. Now next we will see is box model. Yes, great, you can just access this color link. Okay, the next we have is box model. In CSS box model, the box model is used when we are talking about design and layout. We will just check out when we have different kind of features, like we can just specify the margins and padding and border, the content of the box where text and images appear. So there is a kind of box, you can say. We have this as our content. The next thing we have is the padding around the box. Then there is something called as border, and then there is something called as margin. So content of the box where text and image appears, like for example we have the text here. This can be considered as a content in the box. Then we have padding, clears an area around the content. The padding is transparent. So for example, you have a distance between this text and this text. This can be considered as padding. You can specify how much padding you want. Then you have something called as border. For example, we have a line here around this, that will be considered as border, and margin clears an area outside the border. So something outside the border is the margin. The margin is transparent. So you can just specify these things. For example, you want a lot of distance between this text and this text, so you can just specify a padding here, and you can add some kind of borders. We will see that there are a lot of borders that you can use, like dotted borders and round borders. You can use a lot of things, and for padding also you can specify. We will just see it later. Okay, so this was about the box model. Now we will move on towards the VS Code. This was just about the theory. Let's move to VS Code. Okay, what is somebody saying? If we give p tag a CS property of color, red, and external privacy, inlines p tag. Okay, so you are asking about the preference. Also give inline styling p tag. Okay, so what it will do is that it will first consider the inline tag, and then it will go towards the external CSS. Like you can see that in the CSS file also, when we specify something before the other specification, the first one will get more preference. So it's, we will see in our VS Code that. Let's move to VS Code. Yes, there is a kind of priority, you can say. We will see it. Okay, so I guess all of you got yesterday how we use the live server. Today we will also be using the live server only. If anybody wants to know about the live server, you can just tell me in the chat box. Okay, Raj wants to know about the live server. So what I yesterday told you is that how we use a live server. What we do is that you go into your C drive and you create a folder. Then you open this folder through here. You go to file and you open folder. You can just use it using terminal, but this opening folder through here will be much easier. I have named that folder as trial. Then in that trial, what I did first was I created an index.js file. All of these files were not there. I just created the index.js file. Next thing what I did was that I went to the terminal through here. Okay, terminal is here. And what we wrote here is that we wrote npm init-y here. And what will happen after that is that you will install a live server, and you will see there will be a lot of installation going on, and after that you can actually access a live server by just double clicking on it or just writing live server on it. I have just shared the commands yesterday. I will also share it today. Wait a sec. Okay, so it was like npm init-y. First of all, you will use this. I have just done it before, so I will not do it again. After this, you can use install live server. So after this, you will see there will be some installation. After you have done these two things, you will see a package.json file will be created there. Inside this file, what you have to do is that inside the scripts you have to add a comma and server as live server. The next thing you will do is that you can write live server here, or you can just open that live server by going into your index.html file. Yes, you can just open this with live server. We have already opened that here. Yes, I have already opened it here. Okay, so I have just actually inserted some paragraph and h1 tags here so that we can see the styling and we do not need to type it again and again. This text is from one of the projects that I created. So let's check it out. I hope the live server is. Okay, no, you will just see some installation will go in there and it will install the live server. You can just check it out if you have VS Code, and then you can let me know. Okay, so what we did here is that we created a style.css. How we did that? We just went here and we wrote style.css. Okay, so as I just show you how we relate it, we did it link rel style sheet and href style.css. So this style.css has been already added, and I just added a few commands here so that we can see the changes. And next thing I did is I just inserted a div and h1 tags. I also inserted the image. I also inserted a paragraph tag. You can just check it all out and see I have assigned a class here, I will assign the id here, and I simply have a p tag here. So we will see how it works. What basically happens is, wait, I will just open it alongside. Okay. This was something I'll tell you later about it, how this turned red. Okay, so see. Okay, so first we'll see the selectors. What we have done is that they're here. We have just used the paragraph tag and we have inserted our text, like this is the text we have inserted, and we have not assigned it any kind of ID or class. We have just simply used the p tag. So inside the style.css, I guess I need to maximize it only. Inside the style, we will see that for the p, we have used font family and font size. We have set the font size to 20 and we have set the font family to Verdana. What happens is VS Code is that you can use any kind of font family. When you just write font family here, it will give you some suggestions. Like see, there are a lot of suggestions. You can use any kind of font. The next thing you can also do is you can use Google Fonts, but this gets much easy because when you are creating a website, you can specify the font yourself only. So I just use this kind of font here, and let's see how this font looks. Okay, so you can see the font has now changed. So this is how we have used styling for P here, only P. When you talk about P, class is equal to center. So how do we specify the styling for with the class having center? As you can see, this is a class. So what we use is dot here, dot center. We have aligned the text to center and we have used the color red. So you can see the color is red here, and you can see the difference here. The text is aligned towards a bit center here. Similar is the case with the ID. What I have done in case of ID is I have used para 1. You can see this para 1. What we have done in this styling is that we have used text, we have aligned the text to right, like it was in center, now we have aligned to right, and we have given the color green to it. So what we see is that here is that there are different kinds, same paragraph, same writing, but we have just aligned it right. This is center and this is no alignment, it is a simple text, and this has aligned to the center and to the right. So this is how you can do different kind of styling for that using ID and class. So this was about the selectors. Also one thing, you can see this text here is in green color. By green color, I have just commented out this portion. Yesterday we saw how we comment out portion in HTML. So this is how we do commenting in CSS. What we do is that this sign, and then we have this asterisk sign, and this here also. So this is the commented portion here. This is how we use CSS comments. So next thing, I already discussed the colors with you. You can see that we have used different types of colors here. You can just change the colors by clicking on this, as I yesterday told you. So the next thing we have is backgrounds. See here I have a background image. I will just comment out this portion. See, I have a body background image. Whenever we comment it out, we will see this background image will be displayed. So see, actually it's a black image, it's image of a road, so whole of our background changes. But we cannot use this kind of image, see, because our text is not visible. We need to change the color of this text if we want it to be like this, and we have to also increase the weight of this if we want to apply such kind of a background. See, because the text is not clearly visible. I'll just show you how we can do that. Font weight, like font size, we'll do font weight, and you see it gets bolder. So you must see not much change, but the font got a bit bolder. But you can always just change the opacity of the image before you are inserting it as a background, so that your text may be visible, or you can use some other kind of background. So this was about CSS background. So in terms of background, there are a lot of things that you need to know. You need to know about background when you are using a background image. First of all, we got to know about background color, then we got to know about background image. Yes, we got to know about background image. So I have also used the container here that I forgot to tell you. See, what I have done is, somebody was asking what is div. Div, I have used this here. I have used two div tags, and I have given it a class as container. When you give it as a class, so there is two things, container and container fluid. So container fluid will just expand with the text, and a container is simply, this will occupy the space of your text. We usually use container fluid, but I have also used the container here. So what I have done is that I have kept the text in the container here. So I have also done styling for this container. We can just do padding for this container, as you can see here. I'll just comment out this portion, and you will see what I have done is that for container fluid, I have used background color as well as background image. So somebody was talking about the preference. Let's see what will come first, background image or background color. For container fluid we are talking. Container fluid, what is inside the container fluid? We have this image and this text. Okay, so see, what happened with container fluid is that olive green color came here, and with container, so you can also see that container is only occupying the area of the text, but container fluid is occupying the whole area. So this is the difference between container and a container fluid. And I had also specified image for this one. Yes, I have started the recording before only. Somebody is saying is it Bootstrap or it's CSS? No, it's not Bootstrap. We will use it's just an idea about a container. It is Bootstrap only. So what I just wanted to give you idea about this. But when we will see in Bootstrap, we have a lot of different other things also. So I was just giving a basic idea about a container here. Mostly you can just focus on the div here. So see, okay, I was telling you about the styling. Okay, so what we did is that we assigned a padding to the container, and we also assigned a height to it. Let me just shift this way. Okay, see, we have given a padding here 30, 100, 30, 0. So this and this one is the top and bottom, and this one is the right and left padding. Give it 100. You can just specify the padding yourself. See, you see it shifted a bit here. So this is when you want something to be in the middle, like you assign some padding to this image and you just shift it here and here so that it comes in the middle. This is what you use padding for. Okay, so I have assigned the height 470 here. I can assign height 500 here. We can use anything here inside this. So this is how you do styling for your container or your div. I could have also written div here. It would have done the same thing. I just wanted to show you the difference between containers. But since we will also see it in Bootstrap, so let's keep it for that only. Okay, next thing I was telling you about was background color and background image. There is something called as background repeat and background attachment. So what happens in that case is that here the image I have used, it's quite large in size. So what is happening is it is not shifting somewhere when you are going down or something, but when you want the image to go down with you do not want the image to repeat and you want it to go down whenever you are going towards the end, below the document, you also want the image to go there. So what you do is that you use the background attachment. You use background attachment and you specify it as fixed. Let's see background attachment. I will just copy the whole code and I will show you how you use this inside the style. So this background here is quite large, so it won't be applied to that. But when you have small images, and you will see that when you apply it at the background, what will happen, it will start repeating. So let's just have an example of that only. We'll change the background. We'll just slash. Okay, so we are using these images because yesterday we had created a folder called images, if somebody is wondering what we are using. Okay, we will just comment out this portion so that we can see it. As you see, I have commented it out. Okay, so it will be displayed. Because we have used the background color before, that's why. Now we have used it. I guess this image is not getting specified here. So let's keep the same image that we were using. You can use it together only, so I just got it from somewhere, so I have diffused different tags. Okay, so this is the image. This was not what I expected it to be. So what happened is that it did not get repeated. So when we delete this, what will happen? Okay, we have also a position for this. Just delete it. You'll see what happens when we don't use this. See, we see the image is being repeated here. It is not fixed somewhere. So it gets messy when you use images of such kind. You just want this one thing here and you get it repeatedly. So what we do is that we use this property. We use background repeat, no repeat. And background position, when you want to keep it at any position, you want to keep it in the middle, you want to keep it at the top, bottom, that's your call. You want to keep it fixed because when you scroll down, you want it to scroll down as well. So you use this. So we will see now. Edit it. Okay, this is not the URL. Okay, we will see the image is not being repeated now. And when we scroll down, since we do not have a large file here, but when we scroll down, this image will also get scrolled down with it. So this was about background attachment and background repeat. What you can basically do is you can use it as a shorthand property. What you will do is that you will not use these different lines like position, repeat, attachment. You will just put it in one line, like here. See, I just use the color, I use the URL, no repeat, right top. URL again got changed. So it is just an example. I will not now delete it everything. You will just see that you use all in one line. So this is how you specify the backgrounds. You needed to know about this separately. Then when you got to know about it, you just used it in a single line. So next thing we will see is borders. I hope you all got it about how we specify the body, background and everything. Because when you are making a web page and you want to specify the backgrounds, you will just use a simple line only. You will not use all these things. For the time being, let's delete it. Okay, now we will see what are borders. Okay, so this has been deleted. Now see, you must be wondering why we are, some of you must even have an idea about borders, margins and paddings. But since we need to know about it from the beginning, you can just tell me if I'm going slow and you want me to just, increase this and you want just the shorthand property, you can also tell it. But if you want to know about in detail, you can just tell that also. Because most of these things are like minute details, but you need to know when you are inserting all of that styling. Okay, so now we will see borders. I will also give you an idea about padding, and we'll see the box model that we discussed. Then we can see how we can use icons and how we can do styling with the lists and tables. We will also see float. And I'll give you an idea about inline and block. So let's see. See, here we have P. We will use a border around this P. We will just change the class here. Let's give a class as dotted. We will do this so that we can check the borders around it. And let's give a dashed. Okay. Let it be class. So see, this is the property that I was talking about. If for example you have assigned dotted to h1 also, you are just using p dot dotted so that only the paragraph ones having this class or id will be displayed and not the others one. So this is also a kind of selector. So see what happened here. This has got the dotted borders and this has got the dashed borders. So this is about borders. You can use border for this image, you can use border for anything that suits you. So this was about borders. Now there are a lot of kind of borders, like you have ridge borders, group borders, double borders. You can just check those out and you can use any kind of borders you want. Next thing is that we have padding. I hope you all got what I was talking in the box model. When we talked about box model, we discussed about the padding. I already showed you padding here, like how you can specify the padding here, like 30, 100, 30, 100. So you must be wondering, sometimes we use px, sometimes we use rem, sometimes we use em. So what is that? I shared a link before with you in which you can just see what kind of values you should use. Like when you talk about px, what basically happens is that when you use px for the height or padding or anything, it actually does not change according to the user. For example, you have changed your font or you have changed your styling in your device, it will not matter to the px, it will not change according to it. But rem or em, they will actually change to that. They will actually, wait, I will share the link and you can just check it out. It's a whole article on what kind of styling you should use. If it's not, if somebody has already seen the link in the chat box, they can just share it again. I'm not able to share it, I don't know why. But what was in that is that similar case that if you, whether you should use px or em or rem, that will just clear your confusion what you should use with that. So that is about padding. You can just use padding like I had used for this container here. And in the container I had also changed the background image or background color. That was about containers and div and padding. And when we talk about margins, you can also use margin properties similar to that, like in the box model we only saw. Now about margin is that you can use the top margin, bottom margin, right and left margin. There is also a shorthand property in which you just specify it like the padding. So here you have seen 30, 100, 30, 100. I have not written as top, bottom, right, left because I have used the shorthand property. Similar you can do with margin also. See, margin top, bottom, right, left. Instead of this, directly write 100, 100, 150, 80. Once you get to know about all of this, so what happened is that you can see a lot of distance in all of these. So what happened is that we assigned a margin to all of these. Top margin as 100, bottom as 100, right and left as 100, or what we did, 80 and 150. We just specified according to our convenience. So this is how you can specify margins and paddings. So you need to be very much careful regarding this when you are creating a web page. Like you want an image to be shifted to this or shifted to that, you can use float, you can use anything, but we usually use padding when we have in the div. You just wanted to shift somewhere, so you use padding for that. Okay, so I hope the box model was clear to you. What we did was we learned about paddings, we learned about margin and border. These are just minute things that you need to keep in mind. When we talk about CSS text, I already showed you how you can insert. Yesterday we learned about that bold, italic, but we used it in the line only. Here also you can specify it, like see. Okay, let me delete this first. Also, I have changed the ID in class here. So I will change the styling. Okay, let's specify this. Okay, so I was talking about font family, font size, font weight. So you can use any of these. You can just specify the family. You can use font size according to your convenience. You can use font weight. So one thing I will tell you about this font size is that I was talking that I will tell you about media queries. So when you just shift to the mobile view, you will see that I have kept the font size as 20px here. So when we shift to the mobile view, that is quite large, and you will see that it gets very difficult to read it. So I have also inserted the media queries here, but let's just not consider it for this time. Then I'll just tell you about it. Okay, let's see what will happen in a mobile view. Okay, as we saw the text, I yesterday also told you, for mobile responsive view, what we do is that we use Control Shift and I. So see what basically happened here. When you see if your text is mobile. Yes.
There is a query. What is the difference between class and IDs? So I want to answer it. जो क्लास होती है वो हम कई एलिमेंट्स को दे सकते हैं सेम क्लास, बट जो आईडी होती है वो यूनिक होती है. हर एलिमेंट के लिए आईडी अलग अलग होनी ज़रूरी है, इसलिए हम क्लास प्रेफर करते हैं ओवर आईडी. क्योंकि अगर हम ऐसा कर देंगे कि हमारे कोड में जो हमने एक बार आईडी किसी को दे दी है और हम दोबारा वो आईडी किसी और को देंगे, तो हमारा वो जो कोड है वो ढंग से रन नहीं करेगा. तो यूनिक होती है हमारी आईडी, इसलिए हम क्लास प्रेफर करते हैं. ओके, इज इट क्लियर?
I hope it's clear to you, Zavivia.
Okay.
Okay, so Manisha just told you the difference between class and ID. That's great. So we were talking about text, and we see this text is too large and it is not actually mobile responsive, because you do not often see this kind of text when you are studying or reading something from your mobile. So this is what we change in the, you saw that image. We have used the maximum style property for it. For the image was not quite large or small, it was just okay, but in terms of text it was quite big, so we need to specify responsiveness for that. I will just tell you about the responsiveness in a while. So what we were discussing about text. You can just check out font family, font size, font weight, whatever you want to specify. You can also use text shadow, text decoration. So when we talk about styling, there are a lot of things. You can use shadow effect in your text. Like see, I will use shadow effect for the H1 text in my document. Okay, let's specify the color to be something else, since our background is also white. So you will see there is the text has a shadow. It is somewhat different from the other text. So this is how we can use text shadow effect. You can also use text alignment, whether you want to align your text through center or you want it to be towards right or left. That I already showed you. You can also use text decoration. You can underline the text and you can do all those things. I already told you about font. So let's see what are icons. How can you, I guess you must have heard about font awesome. So what is font awesome basically? Let's see. I have just used it somewhere. Okay, in the index. For example, you are in a project and you want to use some fonts. For example, you want to give links of your LinkedIn, Twitter, or any kind of things. What you do is that you use fonts, or you can use those icons. What we do is basically we include a link in our HTML file, as I have already included it. Link relation style sheet. You can find this link inside those font awesome website. And what we do is that I have just commented out this part. I have just taken out a few icons and we will see how they will be displayed. Just note I have used FA2X here, and in others I haven't used it, so we will see what this means. Okay, so they are being displayed quite in the corner. We will just shift it here. Let's use it in the container, since container is having some kind of padding, so it will be displayed in this portion. Okay, so it got copied here. Okay, so you can see I have used these fonts. This one is bigger because I used 2x size for this. I have used a car, a cloud, a heart. You can use anything. So this is how you use fonts. What you basically do is that I will just show you the website. Let's go to the website, because because we need to include a lot of font awesome. We include a lot of fonts from here. So how you do that, I already showed you. Let's see, font awesome. Okay, so the net is very slow. You can just check out this website fontawesome.com and you will see a lot of icons there. I have used this car, heart. I just wanted to show you this 2x or 3x. You can just increase. I will use 5x here and see. This will increase. I don't know why isn't it so slow. Okay, so see the size here increased quite large because we used 5x for it. So this is how you use icons. You just include this style sheet of the fonts, and you can use any kind of eye here, and the classes are specified before only. When you visit the website you will get to know about it. Okay, so this was about icons. Let's see next thing. Okay, so somebody was talking about links in the beginning. I just showed you how you can, I just yesterday showed you how we can use links, but there is some styling regarding to the links. So what is that? You can use link, visited, hover or active. When we talk about hover is that the link will change the color when you move the mouse over it, and active is that color when you are just you have used the link, it will show some different kind of color. You must have noticed this on Google. What happens is that when you have accessed the website, it gets kind of purple color and others are just in blue color. So that is where they have used active or hover. I will just give you an example. For example, let's use a link here. Let's use a link in our document. Okay, I had also commented opacity here. You can just check out a property called as opacity. Let's see this also before going to the links. Class is equal to first, second and third. We have already assigned some class to this. So let's comment out the styling of this part. You can set opacity to it. Like we have given opacity 0.1, 0.3, 0.6. Always remember to save your changes. See, this one here means that there is an unsaved change. Hope you know about it. See what happened here. Okay, so they had the same class, that why the color got changed. Don't worry about that. So see, opacity, we use 0.1, 0.3 and 0.6. You can just use this effect, styling effect, if you want your text to be a bit opaque or something. So this was about opacity. Okay, I was talking about links. So let's see, there are 4 kinds of things that I will tell you about. First of all, it is deleted because all of our text is in green color right now. Let's use some link. You will also get to know, somebody was asking in the beginning, what do we mean by target is equal to blank. Okay, let's give some link here. You can give any kind of link you want. Where did it go? Okay, so I guess the color is green, white here, that's why. Oh, I did not enter anything for this, so let's enter check out this link. Okay, see, check out this link. Now you will, okay, it's very much small, I need to increase it a bit. I hope it's visible to you all. It's in the end. Let's use it somewhere in the middle. Let's use it below this. So see, here we use the link. Okay, somebody was asking about target. We will see that when we click on this, it will take us to the next page. Also check out that. So this is the link. You see, when we hover over it, it gets a color called pink. I hope you saw this, that when we just click on that, it changes to blue and it opened the next page. So that is okay. We entered some wrong URL, but that's all right. I was just trying to tell you about this styling effect, that is hover and active. And what else we used? Visited, hover, active, visited, and simply link. The link was initially in red color. When you hover over it, it gets a pink color. When you visit it, it gets blue color. When you visit it, it gets green color, and when it's active, it shows blue color. So this is how you can style a link. It's simply like whatever things you use in HTML, we are just seeing a styling for that. I could have told you the styling yesterday also, but we did not have enough time, and yesterday we just discussed about the inline CSS, but today we are discussing about the external CSS. So this is how you can style those links. When you use these links, you can just specify different colors for them in your HTML file or your website. That will look quite great. And when we talk about the styling of the lists, as you remember yesterday we discussed about lists as well. What you can do is that you can specify list type. You can have the list to be like, came here somewhere. Okay, check out these dots. You see these circles. Okay, somebody was asking about cell blank. See, VS Code actually has this. I was just trying to show it to you yesterday. You can see this self, blank, parent and top. It is actually telling about what does it mean. So when you type blank here, it will always tell you the meaning of these things. So I already discussed the meaning of these 4 things. Self, blank, you can also check out VS Code. It's quite amazing that it already gives you the things that you can use. So I was just trying to tell you about this list. You can see circles here. You can use different things like squares, and this is all about how you can style a link. List, how you can style a list. And next thing is you can also style a table. Yesterday we saw that how we can create a table. So most of the times when you use this border margin, you usually use these things for a table. You can also use it for your title or some kind of box you use. So you use a table, you use some border for it, and you align it some margins. That's how you do styling for a table. Let's see a small example. There is something else also about a table. I guess I did not tell you about yesterday. Okay, so let me check out a small example, because you must be all knowing about tables. All I was just trying to tell you. Okay, somebody is asking about what are navigation bars. Okay, so let's check out navigation bars as well. How you can see. I would always tell you to prefer navigation bars from Bootstrap, that we will see tomorrow, because they have different kind of stylings there. But if you want a basic navigation bar, we will check it out, and you can see also how we use a horizontal or a vertical navigation bar. Let's see it. I don't know, net is very much slow today, so just I'll check it out. Okay, so I guess you all know about tables, so let's just check navigation bar only. You used lists in navigation bar. I guess some of you had not joined earlier. I was just trying to show somebody how I have used the navigation bar and how I use links. This is the index page from one of my projects, and see what we do here is we used unordered list and list here. This is the navigation bar we get from Bootstrap, but we want to create a basic navigation bar. So what we will do is we will use a unordered list and so let's check it out. You can use it in the header section. You're not inserted the header section, but mostly we use a header and a footer section. It's kind of a website layout. See, home, news, contact, about. Currently it's taking us nowhere because we do not have these pages, but this is a kind of vertical navigation bar. This is the simplest form that you can say. Let's see how we use a horizontal navigation bar, because most of the times you will see a quite large navigation bar here, or you will see that way. What you do for that is you change the display in CSS. You use the display inline in CSS for that. It's kind of a hectic in CSS, but when we talk about, somebody is asking what is navigation. Okay, I guess you all must be knowing that it will navigate you to different pages. For example, we have a page called news, contact, about. It will take you to all these different pages. Okay, you answered it right, Raj. Okay, let's see a horizontal navigation bar now. So what we will basically do is that we will just use display inline, and this way you will also know what is block and inline view. I'll just tell you about that also. Inside the styling we will use, see, it's always good to use some spaces in your CSS file, because when you create a large file or a website, you have a lot of styling there. So like I have used H1 and H1, I have used it 2 times, but it's not important. You can just delete it and use all the styling for H1 in a single braces. So you should just keep that in mind. What we did is we gave display inline to li. So what happened here is it became vertical. Now how you can style this navigation bar only? You can insert padding here, you can insert a margin, you can insert a background color. What will happen is that it will look like the navigation bar which you see in websites. We will see about a navigation bar in Bootstrap tomorrow. So okay, I used here inline. Now there are some kind of displays in CSS, that is inline and block. So what are those displays? Let's see inline and block. Yes, somebody is saying we can use margin, padding and background color. Yes, and it will be a quite nice kind of a navigation bar. You can add different links. See, I just told you in the beginning how this will take you to the news HTML page. You have created a news HTML page. You can use href news.html and it will take you to the news page that you have created. Okay, So we were talking about inline and block. Let's check out. So when you talk about inline, it usually gets into your mind that something that is in a line, and block view is kind of a box view, and inline block view is that one, and below it that another thing will come. Inline, both of the things will be in the same line, and inline block is that when it gets, inline block is what we mostly use. Let's see. We will also need to create some classes. So we have three displays here: inline, inline block, and block. Now we will see. And somebody was asking what is span, so we will also see span here. So you must have an idea about what is the lorem ipsum text. We use it whenever I just have used the text from one of the websites company, but we can also use the lorem ipsum tab when we want to see some kind of examples. Let's see the display property. Okay, so let's see. So what we basically did here is span dot b, a, b, and c. What we did is we created a span in this div tag. So see, this is lorem ipsum text, and we have a span class. We have assigned it at a. See this word Eliquim and Vinatics, this is some kind of text. You just don't need to wonder about what is this text. It's just some random text. We assigned a span class to it, a, b, and c. So we will see what will happen with this display. You just need to keep in mind a, b, and c we have given the class, and we have given a span tag here. To this you will also know how we use a span tag. Okay, we'll just save the changes and we will see. So let's see. You can also find similar example on V3 schools. I have just taken the reference from there only because it's quite a nice example to just see how we use the inline text, inline block test, and block test. When we talk about block, we see that one is getting displayed. What are you asking? Next page. Okay, so somebody was asking about how you can go to next page. Okay, so Manisha has given you a link through which you can see how you go to the next page when you have in the navigation bar. We will just see about it also tomorrow. So see, this is about display, the block display. You can see this yellow in color, one below the another. In terms of inline, what happens in inline is, see, in block a lot of space is there, but in this line it will only occupy the space around the text, and it's kind of effective. It's not wasting space. And when we talk about an inline block, it will give you a block view, but in the same line only. Block view is like of this view. It's not wasting material. We use this when we want to, we have images and we want them to be displayed one below the another. Instead of using BR or break tag, we use this tags, display tags. So this is how we use these tags. So I guess it was clear to you. Okay, so we were talking about the navigation bar. Through that we went to the display view. So I was talking about navigation bars. What we can use in navigation bars, see, this will take you to other pages. You can also use a drop down menu in your navigation bar. You must be knowing what is a drop down menu. Like you go on this contact or you go on this about, and there will be a drop down menu like about page, about the company, about something. You get a drop down view like that. So let's see how we can insert a drop down here. Where is our navigation bar? This is it. Okay, if somebody wants to know how do we get to the other page, I have see what is here: href index.html, about.html, services.html. It's like I have 1 2 3 4 5 pages and I have given their links. So whenever you click on about us, it will take you to the about page. So this is how you link those pages. Okay, so we will check about drop down. Okay, just wait a second. I will just tell you about drop down. Meanwhile, we will see what we are left with. Okay, we did about images, forms. You can also do your form styling. Yesterday I just showed you a school registration form. So you can also do some styling with this form. If somebody did not see it, how we created this basic form, you can check it out. Let's open this. And I will also give you an idea about media queries in the end. Because see, it's not only about media queries, it's about responsiveness. You have 3 or 4 ways in which you can make your website responsive. One is also regarding the grid size. I don't know if you know about grid. How we can go to same section and same page. Okay, so you just need to assign an ID to that and it will take you to that section. For example, you must have seen that no more button and it will take you to the bottom of the page. You just have to assign an ID to that area. For example, I will give ID to a paragraph in my page, like for example I usually have an ID. Okay, for example, this paragraph here, you will give it some kind of ID is equal to this, and then in href you will enter the same ID as I showed you in that index. Okay, this index, like here I have used about.html. About is a HTML file, so you can use the ID for that paragraph you have used here, href that ID, so it will take you to the same section on that page. So this is how you do it. We were on our drop downs. I don't know, it is very slow. Okay, so we will insert a drop down here. See how we will do it. Also, we will have some styling for drop down. Now, one thing you will notice how we will have the display. We will have the display of inline block. So let's see. Okay, I did not insert. Okay, I did not give a button for it. So let's give a button. Okay, something is wrong here. It is not appearing as a drop down one. check it out again. You will just see the styling also. Check the styling also. Okay, so see. Okay, the coloring and all is fine. So we have not actually provided with any kind of link here, so it will not take us anywhere. And there are a lot of things that are in this. We have just changed the background color, the position. Okay, there is also something called as positions. We will just have a look at it. Check it out. Okay, so it's not getting displayed. So what we will do is that tomorrow when we say about Bootstrap navigation bar, we will just see this drop down menu then. So let's have a look at media queries till then. I have used some. Okay, what you do in media queries is basically you write it like this: at the rate of media, maximum width 768 px. So what is this width? When we talk about width, we use different widths for different kind of devices. When I showed you the mobile responsive view, what we basically do is that you can see it using Control Shift and I. See this thing. Okay, the color is quite different. How did this happen? When I shift to a mobile view, the color changed to salmon. Okay, let's keep it something lighter because the text is not visible. Let's keep it light blue. Okay, so see, when you use media queries, we just specified body background color to be light blue when the maximum width is 760 px. You can use minimum width, maximum width. Like see, in this case the width is 360 into 640. 640 is the maximum width here. So you can use different kinds of width for different kind of devices. You can just check out media queries. It's quite interesting that when, okay, I'll just show you about the text here also. See, you can just change the font size. I have used one REM for example, and we will see the H1 text will be quite small. See, it got small. So this is how you use media queries. What you basically do is that you change the padding. We had used padding 180 there, and here we have used 20 only. So what happens is that in terms of media queries, we just change it according to the mobile view. We have also changed the image width here. We don't have a navbar right here. So this is how you use media queries. I change the background color to be light blue when you see in a mobile view. You can change anything. See this padding here, this is 20 and this is 20. You can also change this text size so that it becomes readable. So this is how you use media queries. You can also, tomorrow in Bootstrap, we will see that how we can do this responsiveness using columns and rows. It is very much effective because we have 4 ways in which we can make our website responsive. One is grids, and one is media queries, and another is breakpoint, and another is flexible media. So these are the ways. We mostly prefer media queries, and we also do it using column and grid view. So tomorrow we will just see how we can create a basic layout of a website using jumbotrons, how we can use navigation bar, how we use cards, and how we used see, as I use the button here, you can also see we use different stylings for button. You can see that here when I click on it, it gets a border or it gets a kind of shade. So you can use different kind of buttons. Like in Bootstrap, what it is that you can use styling inside your commands only. Like in you use the container there, and you can specify whether you want the container element to be right or left. You do not need to do. It's kind of, Bootstrap is kind of like effective way of using CSS. You do not need to type everything. You will just do one thing, that you will have an easy way of styling the document. We will see it tomorrow inside the Bootstrap. So this was about CSS. Now you must be wondering that we missed out some things. Definitely we did not cover everything here because there are a lot of things in CSS. I just shared a link in the starting about 100 days of CSS. That is a very effective way to learn about CSS. What you can do is that you can every day create a new project and learn about CSS through that. Moreover, regarding CSS, you need to keep in mind a lot of things that you need to know about all of these properties, so that whenever you create a website, because a document is very plain when you have simply HTML, but when you use different kind of styling for it, it will be great. Okay, so now Manisha has some quiz for us, so let's proceed to the quiz. And if you have any queries regarding CSS, you can ask them tomorrow, you can ask them today also. If you are wondering about the attendance, okay, it's okay if you missed it yesterday, you can just fill out the attendance today, and if you do it for the next 2 days, you will surely get the recording for the first day if you missed it. That link will be in the chat box only. If you want to be for the quiz, you can be. It's a quite interesting quiz, and then you can leave it. Surely it will be a short quiz only. So Manisha, please share the quiz.
Okay, I'm sharing.
I will also share this PPT with you if you want some basic ideas or you want some basic introduction when you are just learning the things yourself. Also, if you want to know about some resources from where you can learn, I'll surely tell you about them. You can just ask me tomorrow also. Anything else unrelated to this, you can also ask me about that. Okay, so let's see the quiz now. If you want some project idea, I will also share a basic project that I made using CSS, HTML and Bootstrap.
Ma'am,
Yes?
आप अभी screen off कर
Okay,
दीजिए.
okay, Manisha.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Now there is a 25 question. Let's
The
start
quiz
with.
is not visible. Okay, now it's visible.
Now this.
Okay, so what does CSS stand for? Okay, so I guess it's pretty easy question. Cascading style sheets. Great. Everybody knows the answer. That's great. Okay, so what's the next question? What is the correct HTML for referring to an external style sheet? Okay, so this is tricky. Okay, what do you say? Everybody is saying C or? Yes, everybody is going with C.
Yeah, it's correct.
Okay, so C is the correct answer. That's great. Let's move on to the next question. Where is in an HTML document is the correct place to refer to an external style sheet? This is very easy. Ashish is saying C. No, it's wrong. Ashish.
We have placed child
Okay, Ashish
tag.
is saying B now. Okay, great. In the head section.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer. I will just check who is giving the wrong answer. Okay, so next question is, which HTML tag is used to define an internal style sheet? Style. Everybody is going with style. Okay, great. Style is the right answer. Great, Anushka, Ashish, you are right now. Rohit, Swati. Right answer. Which HTML attribute is used to define inline style? This is also quite easy. Style only. Okay, we know about this. Next question. What is the correct CSS syntax? Nisha is saying A. So everybody wants to go with Nisha.
Yeah, it's right.
Okay, that's the right answer. How do you insert a comment? How do you insert a comment in a CSS file? Okay, so Nisha is right this time also. It's the C, right.
Right, it's
I'll just check who is giving the answer first. Which property is used to change the background color? Okay, Nisha, again it's A, great. background color.
Yeah, it's right.
Okay, how do you add a background color for all h1 elements? Okay, so Raj is saying B. Okay, that's right, Raj. Everybody is
B is
going
the
with
correct
yes, it's the right answer. You do not need to put an all there, it will just get itself. Which CS property is used to change the text color of an element? Okay, so Nisha said C. Color, yes. Everybody wants to go with Nisha, so the
Yeah.
correct answer is C. Okay, which CSS property controls the text size? Ashish is saying B. So I guess I haven't heard about text size. Okay, great. It's font size.
Yeah, it's one side.
Okay, so next is, what is the correct CSS syntax for making all the P elements bold? Okay, so nobody is guessing. Nobody knows the answer. B.
It's B.
Great. Zaveria said the answer B. Everybody followed. Okay. Next question. How do you display hyperlinks without an underline? Nisha is saying A. That's great. Text decoration has none.
Yeah, it's correct.
It's the correct answer. Okay, so next question is, how do you make each word in a text start with a capital letter? Okay, Nisha is saying C. Others are saying B, A, so everybody is confused. So what is the right answer, Manisha?
The right answer is, I think, 4A.
Textile
D.
capitalize. Okay, so nobody gave the answer D. Okay, that's all right. So next question is, which property is used to change the font of an element? This is quite easy.
We have already discussed.
Great.
What is the answer?
A. Everybody is going with A.
Yeah.
But who was first to answer? Nisha was the first to answer. Okay, great. Next question. How do you make the text bold? Zaveria is saying B. We don't change
What about
style to bold. No, B is not the right answer. C is the right answer.
Yeah, it's right answer.
Great. How do you display a border like this? Okay, this is it.
I've already shared the sequence.
Okay. Yes. I also told about the sequence. So, if you can guess it, you can just guess it from the first line.
What are the answer?
Top, then bottom will be at the third place, 20. So, it's C or B. What is it? No, it's B. 20.
B.
Yes, it's B.
The sequence is top, right, bottom, left,
Yes.
anti-clockwise. Sorry, clockwise. So the answer is
B.
10, 1,
Who gave the answer?
5.
Muhammad, Hataf, Milan, Raj. Everybody gave the right answer. Great. Okay, so let's proceed to next question quickly. Only few questions left, and then you can leave. Which property is used to change the left margin of an element? I guess this is quite easy. Raj is saying B. Everybody is going with Raj. Great. B is the answer.
Yeah.
Next. When use the padding property, are you allowed to use negative values? So this we did not discuss. What do you have to say on this? Everybody is saying no.
Yeah, it's right.
We cannot use them. Why do we need the negative property? Like we don't want to be the padding on the text or something. How do you make a list that lists its item with squares? Okay, this is
Yeah, when we use unordered list, we use bullets, but we can replace it
yes
by square
styling.
or any other.
Yes, Manisha. So everybody is saying A. Zaveria is saying A.
But the correct answer is B.
Oh, we have to do list style type, so it's just some error in the syntax. Otherwise, you were right.
Yeah.
How do you select an element with ID demo? This is quite easy. In terms of ID, we use hashtag. Great. Anushka, Nisha, Zaviria. Zaviria was the first to answer, so yes, that's right. C.
Yeah.
Okay, last 4 questions
Right.
left. Yes, Raj is hash. Use a hashtag. How do you select elements with class name test? With class. So in terms of class, you use a dot. Great. B is the right answer.
Yeah.
Anushka. Everybody is giving actually B only. How do you select all P elements inside a div element? All P elements. Div, just check it out. We have div P and then we have div dot P. So what will be correct? Okay, so everybody is saying C now. Yes, great. You did not check the dot before, so it's C.
It's B.
Oh, we do not have to use the dot.
No,
Oh, this time I was also wrong.
we can use that too.
Okay, so it's B, not C. How do you group selectors? So please select with a plus sign, space, page selected with a comma. Okay, so I guess this is easy. Some are saying B and some are saying C. I think it's C because we separate them with a comma.
Yeah, it's C.
Yes, it's C. Okay, so Swat.
Last one.
Okay, so last question is, what is the default value of the position property? Who will be the first to answer?
I don't know the answer.
Nisha is saying D. Anushka C. Nitin C.
I'm going with C. Let's see.
So everybody wants to know the last answer.
Yeah, I'm checking the answer.
Even I am confused in the last answer, so I guess. Okay, we were right with most of the questions.
It's static.
Default value is static, it's not absolute. Okay.
Static.
I think we did not discuss values, that's why.
Hmm.
Oh, Raj was saying
This
static
is all.
in the end. Great. So that was all for today. You all can join tomorrow for Bootstrap and we will have a basic idea about a project. If you all enjoyed, please let me know in the feedback. And also, if you want some other ideas, see, it's not always about the front end we are learning. You can also discuss something else because we cannot learn everything in 3 days. Who won or everyone won? Okay, I guess Nisha was very much fast in answering and Raj, Nisha and Raj, I guess.
Yeah, they are doing
First
good.
and second position. And Zaviria was also fast and Anushka. So it was great. You can just tell me the feedback. And if you want to know about some other things also, because you cannot get to learn about all of the front end in 1 day only or 3 days only, but you can get a basic idea through it. So we will learn tomorrow about
You can
Bootstrap.
start with it.
Yes, surely, Manisha. You just surely begin your journey and you learn about a lot of things then. So I hope you all enjoyed. The quiz was quite interesting and we will have a quiz tomorrow as well and we will just see a basic project also. So do join tomorrow for the last day. You all can leave now. Thank you for all the 15 people being at the end. Thanks.